have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to snatch me, cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
Touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I won't always smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of
It's a cut on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine, you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all?
Difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it,
Too late to apologize. It's too late.
when I did it, I was fucked up.
Too late to apologize.
I was fucked up.
It's too late.
When I did it, I was fucked up. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Now you see now, you done fucked up, you know that, don't you? You know you done fucked up.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, everyone, please be sure to get the likes up. Double check to make sure you're still subscribed. Also, don't forget that yesterday I told you that if you have been having problems with being unsubscribed or not receiving notifications, you can always reset your subscription. Okay, unsubscribe and then resubscribe and all of those things. Okay, so let's get into it and let's see who is in here. All right, and anyone who doesn't like what the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur, TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. All right, Juju said the Queen is queening. Thank you. Buckhorse DC is here. Pearly, True Snow TV, Tawana, 504 Nola, Miss Peaches, Kimberly France, Kathy B. All right, let's get into it. Cherokee Descendant Dale. Okay. With that bronze flat power guy, we the people. All right. All hell no, it's in the house. Okay, so shout out to my loyal royals. You know I love me some you. Tawana is here. Okay, Missions Vision, Stacey Quinn. Did I say we the people? All right, and so let's get into it, Kathy B. Everyone get those lights up. All right, here we go. Beatrice is in the house. Okay, so Brutha, I see you, beloved Priscilla. Listen, now Rolling Stone conducted a 6-month investigation into Diddy, and they found 50 former friends and former bad boy artists who came out and said some things about him that have never been heard before. So we're going to get into that. But first, while I was preparing for this live, more breaking news came out. Okay, so the feds are coming down on Diddy. It looks like his house of cards is clearly falling. So let's first talk about what the feds have to say. Feds moving closer to possibly indicting Sean Diddy Combs. All right, and here's the report. Here's the report. This just came out like 17 minutes ago. Okay, so this is breaking news. Now, a new report based on an anonymous source claims that the federal prosecutors may be moving closer to seeking a criminal indictment against disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, who's been accused of sexual and physical assaults by women in a series, in a series of lawsuits. Now, according to an exclusive reporting that was done by CNN, federal investigators with the U.S. Department of Justice have been interviewing some of Diddy's accusers, some on multiple occasions, who have been cooperating and handing over evidence. Please pay attention. We already know that Cassie was one and Lil Rod, of course, was probably another. Now, the actions by the Fed suggest they may be on the verge of impaneling a grand jury to hear evidence that could result in a criminal indictment. The report comes weeks after damning graphic surveillance video showed Combs physically abusing his girlfriend in 2016 and more than 2 months after federal agents and Homeland Security investigators conducted simultaneous raids on his homes in California and Florida. However, while initial reports about the raids were centered on allegations of sex trafficking, CNN reported that sources have said the scope of the federal investigation has widened. Okay, please pay attention. They are coming after him on all fronts. It has now widened to include money laundering and illegal drugs. Now, for those of you who've been following my report on this, I told you all that. Okay, I told you all about the money laundering and, of course, the illegal drugs. Now, CNN, and remember, I told you that Jonathan Oddie back in 2018, when he did that police interrogation interview, he said that Diddy had a Ciroc agenda, if you recall, where he was trying to have everyone binge drinking alcohol, and that he was trying to basically put drugs through the music industry, trying to traffic drugs through the industry. Okay, so let's not forget about that. He also said that Diddy did that liquid Coca-Cola. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, now CNN also reported that the feds seized video footage from inside Diddy's residences and have been in contact with people seen in the footage. This is all nefarious. I would love to know who these people were. Now, including at least one male sex worker who claims to have been a victim of the Grammy Award-winning rapper and music producer. Now, the feds would only claim to CNN, or only confirm to CNN, the investigation into Diddy is ongoing. So federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York are conducting the criminal investigation led by U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, who also successfully prosecuted R. Kelly. Now, in that instance, Williams secured convictions for racketeering and sex trafficking in 2022, resulting in the disgraced singer being sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, with 1 year to run consecutive to the 30-year sentence previously imposed in the Eastern District of New York. CNN is also the news outlet that exclusively published horrific video footage showing Diddy brutally attacking his former longtime girlfriend and singer Cassie Ventura at the now closed Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, Los Angeles, back in 2016. Now, that video confirmed claims in Cassie's bombshell assault lawsuit against Diddy late last year that was quickly settled out of the court for $30 million. So now I want you to pay attention, because now they conclusively have told us that it was settled for $30 million. Before, we were speculating because we knew that Diddy's attorneys had basically said that she was trying to shake them down and extort them for $30 million. Of course, they were saying that because she wasn't trying to extort them. She was trying to come to an amicable agreement without having to have filed a lawsuit. Okay, but so now they're literally saying, because some people are saying it was 100 million, but they're saying in this article it was 30 million. Now, Ventura's lawsuit was the first of at least 8 that have been filed by people making similar claims of being drugged and sexually assaulted by Diddy over more than 3 decades. I want you all to pay attention. This is all so nefarious. So, I told you all over a month ago that the ink on that indictment was just about dry. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. This is all nefarious. Now, here's the thing. Locked Queen Candy J says, Queen up and at it early. Grand Rising Queen Ahmadiyyah mods and everyone. Thank you, beloved. Yes, I am up early. And Grand Rising to you also, beloved. Now, let's get into what these people are saying in this Rolling Stone expose, because they basically talked to at least 50 people. And some of these details you have never heard before. Pearlie says, yes, you did, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Some of these details you've never heard before. Okay, so let's get into it, because this is all going down for Diddy. All right, all going down. So, as he took the stage at the BET Awards in June of 2022 to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award, Sean Diddy Combs was elated. Now, I'm sure he was, because if anyone didn't deserve a Lifetime Achievement Award, of course it's him. Okay? It was absolutely crazy that they gave it to him. I mean, I know they heard the rumors, though none of it had been proven. Did they think everybody was just making things up? Now, it goes on to say that he bellowed. He says, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he bellowed, punctuating his words with triumphant jumps. The adoring crowd who gave him a sustained standing ovation included his mother and children, longtime friends, and music industry peers, Kanye West, Janelle Monáe, Babyface, and Lil Wayne. Now, after 3 decades of relentless hustling, they should say stealing, okay, please pay attention, that took him from a hungry teenage intern and A&R or to A&R executive producer, label impresario, respected fashion designer, and household brand name. Diddy had seemingly reached the top of his career. Now, he closed his eyes and repeatedly thanked God. He got down on one knee and praised his mother. He name-checked a laundry list of people who mentored and inspired him. Anything I do is through love, he said. Such a lie. Okay, this is what he proclaimed early in a 9-minute speech. That's what I evolved to be, and that's what I'm doing right now. But soon Combs struck a more somber tone. I was in a dark place for a few years, he said. I got to give a special thank you to the people that were really there for me. He listed friends and advisors. Then looking directly into the camera, he said, Cassie, he added Cassie for holding me down in the dark times. Love. He raised one hand to make an L sign and held his gaze steady silently for several seconds. Now, Combs and Cassie Ventura, a former singer from his iconic Bad Boy record label, had split 4 years earlier. But he had openly been pining for her ever since. He posted photos of her online and urged her to listen to Michael Jackson's The Lady in My Life. After what we saw in that video that was released by CNN, it's absolutely interesting that he would dare to even think that she would come back to him. I mean, she was literally trying to escape his clutches for years. She wasn't with him out of love or because she wanted to truly be there. She was with him because of fear, intimidation, abuse, and threats. Okay? That's what it was. So I just find this all interesting. The Lady in My Life. Please sit down somewhere, Diddy. Now, he publicly congratulated her on her first pregnancy with her husband. His comments at the award show were part of a pattern of behavior, one that had been tormenting Ventura for years. When she learned of her ex's latest remarks, sources say Ventura was distressed, but she was also resolute. And this is one of the things, this is one of the reasons, in my opinion, that when they settled for the $30 million after the suit was filed, that this is likely why Cassie didn't want him speaking her name, why they had that NDA or they had the agreement that neither of them would speak on each other publicly. Okay, by name. And that's likely why. Because I wouldn't want an ex who did all those nefarious things to me in public, in private, and all of the other things that have been alleged. I wouldn't want him speaking my name at all, ever. Okay, especially when you're trying to feign that you had so much love for me and that you were so kind and considerate when people know the truth. Now, almost 18 months later, in November of 2023, Ventura sued Combs, claiming he held her in a violent form of sexual servitude throughout their relationship and raped her upon their final breakup in 2018. She invoked Combs' BET speech in her filing, saying, for Miss Ventura, the dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. She said Combs' brutal beatings, one of them captured in harrowing hotel surveillance video obtained by CNN in May, said it left her with bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and extensive trauma. For Grammy-winning songwriter Tiffany Red, a friend of Ventura's who worked closely with the singer during the height of the alleged abuse, Combs' words from the BET stage had to be a taunt. It's like harassment, she says. You're still effing with her. Leave her alone. Leave her the F alone. Now, in the 5 years after their breakup, or her breakup with Combs, Ventura remained silent. While he was posting about her pregnancy in 2019, she was negotiating in distress behind the scenes to escape her Bad Boy contract, according to Tiffany Red. Despite Ventura signing a 10-album deal in 2006, Bad Boy only released one studio album by her. Combs was allegedly trying to tie her separation agreement to a non-disparagement clause. They say it's not like we were negotiating with just her record label. This is what Tiffany Red says. We were negotiating with her abuser. Now, through her attorney, Ventura declined to speak for this article. Combs did not respond to a request for comment on this allegation. Well, of course he did. And I don't think he needs to say anything else, period, until he gets until he gets in the courtroom, but he definitely shouldn't say anything in there, okay? Definitely needs to keep his mouth shut. Now, at some point, Ventura checked herself into a rehabilitation center to deal with the physical and psychological repercussions of her time with Combs and found renewed purpose in being a mom. This is what it states in her lawsuit. Now, when she eventually gathered her strength and stepped forward, a flurry of other lawsuits followed. 5 more women have since accused Combs of rape or violent sexual assault dating as far back as 1990. 2 of whom claimed that Combs secretly recorded their sexual encounters and showed the footage to others without their consent. A music producer, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, also sued, alleging Combs groped his genitals and forced him to solicit sex workers and perform sex acts at the pleasure of Mr. Combs. Now, while Combs would eventually take responsibility for the assault captured on surveillance video, he has vehemently denied all of the other allegations against him. The day Ventura filed her complaint, he blasted it as a shakedown based on outrageous lies. He says for the past 6 months, you remember what he said, it's all lies and BS. Now, they say Mr. Combs had been subjected to Miss Ventura's persistent demand for $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. That's what his attorney, Ben Brofman, said. Now, in response, Ventura's attorneys, her lawyer, Douglas Wigdor, said that Combs offered Miss Ventura 8 figures to silence her and prevent the filing of the lawsuit. The parties came to an undisclosed settlement within 24 hours of her filing. Now, when his 4th grape accuser sued in December, he issued another passionate denial. That's when he started talking about enough is enough and how everybody was just lying on him to get money that they didn't deserve. Now, for many, the lurid allegations against Diddy were jarring, in part because he had risen to such great heights as a bankable bon vivant who threw the best parties from New York City to Hamptons to Hollywood. He's a pop culture stalwart who walked under a parasol held by his campy valet, Farnsworth Bentley, and St. Tropez, and turned up at a Met Gala in a Swarovski crystal-encrusted tuxedo and floor-length cape. He rapped about Bentleys and Benjamins and held court at his over-the-top annual white parties attended by Leonardo DiCaprio, Beyonce, Mariah Carey, and Martha Stewart. He called himself the Great Gatsby and considered circus showman P.T. Barnum his muse. Well, I could see why, because clearly he was running an entire circus, okay? More like a carnival, actually, if you ask me. Now the spotlight Combs constantly chased is trained on all his alleged crimes. And staggering scenes that underscored his fall from grace, heavily armed Homeland Security agents stormed his sprawling Los Angeles and Miami estates as part of a federal sex trafficking investigation on March the 25th. Investigators tore through his offices and bedrooms, leaving cables dangling from a command center and multiple safes wide open. 3 gleaming Grammys and an Oscar sat atop a gutted console like relics of a crumbling regime. A crestfallen Combs was later seen alone, a cell phone hanging useless in his hand as he slowly paced around Miami Opa-locka Airport. His vacation in the Bahamas was canceled. His once fortified homes breached. His adult sons handcuffed, and his empire on the brink. I want you all to pay attention to the dramatic words and language they use. Now, while the raids were made global headlines, the silence from Combs' famous friends was palpable. This felt different than before, when he could use a checkbook, a high-powered attorney, a media blitz, all to overcome scrapes with the law. When his charisma, influence, and connections would allow him to shake off allegations of violence or outcry from his disenfranchised artists. One says reparations is getting closer and closer. And that's basically what May said the day after the raid, saying the big payback. Now, over the past 6 months, Rolling Stone conducted dozens of interviews with Combs' former friends, acquaintances, employees, and bad boy artists as well, and also industry insiders. Now, out of 300 plus people contacted for the investigation, more than 50 people were willing to speak about their experiences. Several would do so only off the record, citing a fear of retribution. So I want you all to pay attention, because even with all that's going on with the Diddy, all of the things that have been disclosed and exposed about him, all of the trouble that he's currently in, how he's losing power, and some of these people who are protecting him are no longer doing so likely. Well, even with that, some people still fear retribution, retaliation, still afraid to speak out. Now, if they reached out to 300 people and only 50 of them were willing to speak, that says a lot about the fear, the level of fear that he instilled in people. Now, some requested compensation in exchange for the stories. I want you all to pay attention. You see, this goes back to what I said yesterday, how some of these fools are going around here charging people for interviews and all of these things. At the end of the day, if you wanted the truth to really come out, if you were really all about the victims rather than yourself and your greed, you would not be charging, okay? At the end of the day. Now, one thing I also want to address about yesterday when I was talking about people like Roger Bonds and Mark Curry. Now, I wasn't really including Gene Deal, because I don't think that Gene Deal ever sat there and watched Diddy put hands on a woman without doing anything. Because remember, Gene actually said that he stopped Diddy, or he went off on Diddy for cursing out his mother. And then he said that someone else had told him, I believe it was Burroughs, the guy whose last name is Burroughs, supposedly told him that Diddy had slapped his mother. So, and Gene didn't like that. So I don't think that he would have been one, to basically just sit there and not do anything. But I will say this, Gene is absolutely one of the people charging big bucks for interviews, okay, because he tried to charge me, but I don't pay for interviews. But let me continue. Now, with that all being said, some of them requested compensation in exchange for their stories. Rolling Stone does not pay for interviews, okay, right. No ethical journalist does, or publication. Now, they say many declined to participate, wanting to distance themselves from Combs. One says, I'm trying to leave that part of my life behind me. That's what a former employee said. Now, those who did speak about Combs describe a complicated man with opposing personas. Outwardly, they see a tastemaker who is unapologetically driven, generous, and jovial, even silly at times. He can be the same privately, but associates who got close enough to him discovered something darker behind the facade. And I want you all to pay attention, because that's absolutely what many people have said, that Diddy has this whole other persona, that he can be the nice, jovial, friendly person that you enjoy being around, but at the same time, he can be, quite frankly, nefarious and just show a whole nother side with this dark, energy that seems to be, in some cases, to people, even demonic. Okay. At the end of the day, I think that Diddy is perhaps a product, not of his environments, but I think that sometimes, I really think that in a way, some of the things that Diddy has done just goes to show that whether or not you're literally raised by a parent, you can still take on their characteristics and traits. Because Diddy sounds like his father to me with a lot of the things that he's done. And also, it's not because his father raised him necessarily, because his father supposedly passed away when Diddy was only 2 years old. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, hold on just a second while I pull something up. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. So they say that he has a dark side, and I absolutely agree. Now, it goes on to say, those who did speak about Combs describe a complicated man with opposing personas. Okay, they said he can be the same privately, They talked about him being jovial and silly at times, but they said he can be the same privately. But associates who got close enough to him discovered something darker behind the facade. Okay? That's the dark side of Diddy, like a shadow of himself. Now, with that all being said, they say that he could be a menacing figure who desperately wants to be accepted and admired, who uses public declarations of devotion, splashy donations, and boasts that he is brother love. He does all of this to hide an undercurrent of alleged abuse and violence that, in one previously unreported allegation, traces back to before his career even started. Now, Combs wielded his growing power to bend people to take his will, and this is what sources claim. Say that he was sending staffers to win back one-time girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, beating a label executive bloody after becoming romantically involved with Combs' ex-partner Kim Porter, and allegedly trying to solicit SEX from a woman on his payroll. And that's just to name a few of the nefarious deeds that he's accused of. Now, as part of this investigation, Rolling Stone sent Combs a detailed list of questions about the new impending allegations. He did not specifically address any of them, however. Mr. Combs cannot comment on settled litigation, will not comment on pending litigation, and cannot address every allegation picked up by the press from any source, no matter how unreliable. And this is what his attorney, Jonathan Davis, told Rolling Stone, saying that we are aware that the proper authorities are conducting a thorough investigation and therefore have confidence any important issues will be addressed in the proper forum where the rules distinguish facts from fiction. Now, Joy Dickerson Neal, who is suing Combs for sexual assault, tells Rolling Stone that her decision to come forward isn't about money. It's about making sure the world sees this man who rose to the level of an icon, is actually sick, and has left so many victims in the wake of his unpunished, disgusting behavior for years. For Ventura, Combs presented as her flashy, established 37-year-old label boss when he pulled her into a bathroom and forcibly kissed her on her 21st birthday back in 2007, leaving her in tears, according to the complaint. She says he was holding the keys to her nascent music career when he pressured her to consume drugs and have sex that same year. Combs quickly became deeply entrenched in every aspect of her life, paying for her apartment, having her medical records sent directly to him, lashing out for perceived slights. This is all included in the lawsuit, if you recall. Now, when Ventura tried to move on and had a brief romantic relationship with musician Kid Cudi in 2011, Combs allegedly beat the mess out of her. Combs later told Ventura he planned to blow up the rapper's car in his driveway. Now, in a statement to the New York Times in November, Cudi confirmed that his car exploded, saying this is all true. In her suit, Ventura says she learned to blindly submit to Combs to avoid vicious beatings. Eventually, her lawsuit claims the abuse extended to sex trafficking, with Combs ordering her to slather herself in oil, get high and drunk, and have intercourse with male sex workers while Combs pleasured himself and filmed the interactions, which he dubbed as freak-offs. She learned to disassociate during these horrific encounters. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Now, the public got a disturbing window into Combs' treatment of Ventura in the surveillance video unearthed by CNN. In it, a towel-clad Combs is seen pursuing a barefoot and fleeing Ventura after he allegedly punched her in the face during a freak-off in Los Angeles in a hotel in 2016. Now, at an elevator bank, Combs throws Ventura to the floor, kicks her, stomps her, and attempts to drag her back to the room before grabbing what appears to be a vase off of a table and hurling it in her direction. Ventura describes the incident in her lawsuit and alleges that Combs paid the hotel $50,000 to obtain the footage. saying, after years in silence and darkness, I am finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships. This is what Ventura said in a statement accompanying her lawsuit, saying that this was an opportunity to speak up about the trauma I have experienced and that I will be recovering from for the rest of my life. As Ventura's damning allegations were on the verge of going public, Combs was strategizing, according to Jones, who produced multiple songs on Combs' Grammy-nominated 2023 release, the Love album, Off the Grid. It said he detailed how he planned to leverage his relationship with celebrity pastor Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact on his public image. Jones wrote this in a sworn declaration in April, saying Jakes did not reply to requests for comments. Publicly, Combs seemingly jumped into overdrive, producing positive press. He fulfilled his $1 million promises to his alma mater, Howard University, and the football program at another historically Black college, Jackson State University. He launched Empower Global, an e-commerce platform for Black entrepreneurs. And in dropping his new album, proclaiming he was in love, he was in his love era. He announced that he was giving bad boy artists and songwriters their publishing rights back. Only some artists say they were offered rights back. And Danity Kane's Aubrey O'Day said she refused because her offer came with a mandatory non-disclosure agreement. Now, a year before their breakup with Combs, Ventura conceptualized a short film titled Cassie that appears very telling in hindsight. Now, in a voiceover speaking about the film's fictionalized romance, she says, "How do you just walk away from it and escape it? I just want to be free." So now Puff is out here acting crazy. He's beating her. Now, this is part one, okay? Or this is the first point. The hotel security footage prompted horrified reactions around the world. Forced to acknowledge his actions, Combs made a rare admission of guilt, but tailored it to that incident, saying, "I was effed up. I hit rock bottom, and I make no excuses. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted." He claims he went to therapy and rehab and was truly sorry. Ventura's attorneys said that Combs' apology showed his pathetic desperation. Many who watched the footage of the assault were stunned, even those who'd known Combs for years. LaJoyce Brookshire, a former publicity executive at Bad Boy, says she was disturbed to learn that these types of actions could have occurred, and that Puffy could stand in my face the next day with a straight face. That shakes me to my core. Several women who attended Howard with Combs, however, had seen signs of a controlling and abusive personality decades ago. So I want you all to pay attention, because they basically are saying that Diddy was violent even back in college. And you know what that says to me? That says to me that Diddy didn't become this way because of the music industry. Diddy has always been this way. It's just the fact that him being in the music industry and being able to, obtain all of this wealth and power and privilege gave him the ability and the wherewithal to be more of the nefarious person that he's always been. Okay, let's not forget that he got the nickname Puffy when he was a kid because he would huff and puff and become so angry, even as a child. All nefarious. Combs started at the esteemed college in the fall of 1987 and quickly earned a reputation for throwing legendary rowdy parties. Flamboyant and boisterous, he was often seen driving his convertible around campus and passing out flyers. Though he left after his sophomore year, Combs turned Howard into a pipeline for his enterprises, teaming up with future label execs and producers Harv Pierre, Mark Pitts, and Derek D. Angeletti, all key figures in Bad Boy's early success. Now, Shantae Page, a former A&R executive for Universal Motown Record Group, was among those who said that she had positive experiences with Combs and Howard, calling his iconic parties a once-in-a-lifetime type of vibe. He was a go-getter from the start, she says, always in the know. But other women described previously unreported incidents involving unwanted touching and fits of rage. Now, one woman says she kept as far away as possible after Combs caressed her back without warning and then asked her if she would be willing to meet one of his friends. Another former student recalled that Combs flew off the handle after she objected to him cutting a cafeteria line. You see, he seems like a spoiled, entitled brat, like that's what he was as a child, and that he was someone who was used to getting his way because probably his mother spoiled him, not to mention that his father was murdered when he was 2 years old. So his mother may have felt like she had to overcompensate and just give him everything that he wanted. Somewhere along the lines, he developed a sense of entitlement that he carried on into his adult years. Now, while the moments may seem small, they showed flashes of anger that would soon explode. A third former student recalls how the future mogul would tap on the window of an English class to get a girlfriend to ditch. The visits became noticeably unwelcome, according to the classmates. They say she would tense up when Combs appeared. The student who sat next to the woman in class recalls this and says that he just had a weird control thing. I felt like she was fearful, and likely she was. So he's always been abusive to women. Please pay attention if these allegations are true. Now, the classmate who requested anonymity due to fear of retribution, and there it is again, another person afraid to speak out, without fear of retaliation. Now, she says her concerns were validated when Combs appeared outside the school's Harriet Tubman quadrangle dorm and started screaming in a belligerent manner for his girlfriend to come outside. Now, the classmate says other women soon began running through the halls, knocking on doors in a panic. Okay, they were just running, fleeing, and screaming from this fool. He was acting like a whole animal. Okay, they were sounding the alarm that Combs, known then by his nickname Puff, was attacking the young woman outside. Now, Puff is out here acting crazy. He's beating her. This is what the fellow student said, according to a classmate. He screamed and hollered and acted a stone fool until she came downstairs. Another Howard student who witnessed the alleged attack tells Rolling Stone. She says Combs used what appeared to be a belt to strike the young woman all over the place. Speaking on the condition of anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the incident, the witness said Combs appeared super angry and was screaming at the top of his lungs. She says he whipped her butt, like really whipped her butt. The witness says the woman was clearly terrorized. She was trying to defend herself a little bit. She was crying, and we were telling him, get off of her. We were screaming for her. A third source also recalled the alleged assault to Rolling Stone. Now, the woman at the center of the alleged attack declined to comment, probably still afraid of him. Combs was born with a short fuse, telling Jet magazine that he earned his nickname Puffy as a kid because he would always huff and puff when he got mad. He says, I had a temper. That's why my friends started calling me Puffy. His mom, Janice, a former kindergarten teacher, described him as a ham. Combs barely knew his father, Melvin, a handsome drug dealer working for a Harlem kingpin. He was murdered in 1972 at the age of 33 when Combs was just a toddler. Now, throughout the years, Combs mourned the loss of a father figure, but Melvin had a profound influence on him nonetheless. Even if we don't know our parents, we still have their DNA in us. We have their genes. This is what Diddy said. I have his hustler mentality, his hustler spirit, his drive, his determination, his swag. And I wonder if his father used to be on Janice, Diddy's mother. I wonder because, some of these behaviors are not always learned. They absolutely are hereditary. There was a story that I read once about a man who was in prison for raping someone. And then he had a son that was like 20-something years old, and he'd never met this son. And the son ended up getting arrested and sent to prison for the exact same thing.
Okay, so absolutely, these things like your behaviors and different things that you have, fits of rage and being, really violent, obsessive, and controlling, these things can absolutely be passed down through the DNA. Now, when Janice moved the family from Harlem to the suburb of Mount Vernon, 12 miles north, Combs straddled disparate worlds. In one, he was a defensive back on the football team at an all-boy Catholic high school. In the other, he rode a train to the city, immersing himself in its burgeoning hip-hop scene. I didn't know exactly what he would do, but he was blasting me out of the house with his mixing kit I bought him when he was 13, making that noise, scratching those records. And that's what his mom said in an interview with Vibe in 1993. After a taste of celebrity at Howard, Combs itched for more. He was hell-bent on breaking into the music industry, simultaneously attending college and working as a part-time internship at Uptown Records back in New York City. It was Uptown artist Heavy D, a neighbor in Mount Vernon, who brokered the job interview after Combs repeatedly badgered the rapper at their local pizza spot. Former Uptown A&R VP Kurt Woodley tells Rolling Stone this information and saying Combs commuted from Howard for the job, evading the train fare by hiding from the conductor in the bathroom. He dropped out of school to work at Uptown full-time, eventually becoming CEO Andre Harrell's mentee. Now, Combs' ascent to Uptown, or at Uptown, is by now part of his lore. He helped newcomers Mary J. Blige and Jodeci go multi-platinum after reshaping their images. He reinvented the remix and ushered hip-hop soul into the cultural lexicon. He threw exclusive Daddy's house parties at the since-shuttered Manhattan hip-hop club Red Zone that even his older Uptown colleagues jockeyed to attend. He had the ability to convince people that whatever he was doing or wherever he was, that was the hot-ish. Okay, Dan Charnas, author of The Big Payback, The History of the Business of Hip-Hop, told Rolling Stone that he understood more than anyone how the innovations of hip-hop, specifically sampling and using classic rap records as a basis for R&B songs, would be really powerful for a generation. Now, as Combs' star was rising at Uptown, his predatory instincts resurfaced, according to the sexual assault lawsuit filed by Joy Dickerson Neal last November. Now, Dickerson Neal acted opposite Combs in a music video and received what she considered a warning from Bronx rapper Sister Souljah. Okay, Sister Souljah told her to keep her distance, given his infamous reputation. Now, Sister Souljah did not reply to requests for comment. Now, I want you all to pay attention because even back in the early 90s, when his career was just getting started, people knew that he had a bad temper and that he was clearly someone not to mess with. Now, I'm going to share my screen so you can see this picture of Joy Dickerson Neal because I don't think we've seen a picture of her before when she filed the lawsuit. This is her right there with Diddy. She appeared in a video with him, supposedly. Okay. And that was from a 1990 music video. And then she alleges that he raped her in 1991, filming the attack and showing it to others. Now, see, here's the thing. This woman says that he not only assaulted her, but he filmed it when he did so and showed it to others. So what does that say to us? That really speaks a lot to how some people would not say anything about the things that he was doing that were so nefarious. That speaks a lot about how some of these people that are likely going around here telling these stories that they're charging for knew some of these things, saw some of these things, witnessed these things. He was out here raping someone and then had the audacity to record it and show it to people. That shows that he has no moral fortitude because he wasn't embarrassed, ashamed. He didn't feel sickened by his own actions. He didn't think that people would look at him with disdain and think they would be disgusted. He had the nerve to brag about these things. I just want you to pay attention. It really speaks to a depraved mind, is all I'm saying. He's clearly, like I said before, a sociopath with narcissistic tendencies. Please pay attention. Now, Dickerson Neal says she reluctantly agreed to a dinner date with Combs in January of 1991, while she was a college student paying for her studies with a restaurant job. Now, wary of being alone with him, she requested they dine where she worked. She alleges Combs spiked her drink when she used the restroom and later pressured her into taking a hit off of a blunt. She says her legs went rubbery a short time later and that Combs raped her at a nearby residence. She also claims that Combs filmed the attack and showed the video to others like a trophy. Okay, through a rep, Combs denied the allegations at the time. This 32-year-old story is made up and not credible. Mr. Combs never assaulted her. Combs' attorneys have moved to dismiss the lawsuit, calling the allegation false, offensive, and salacious. Well, here's the thing. If he recorded it and showed it to other people, if this is all true, I would like to know who those other people are that he showed it to, and if any of them would be willing to testify in a court of law. I have several questions. Please pay attention. Now, Mike Nice Lewis, who worked with Dickerson Neal at the short-lived PMD Records, tells Rolling Stone that she confided in him at the office about the alleged sexual assault in the early 90s. Okay, 1990s. So with that all being said, Diddy is done. Do you all hear this? Do you all hear this? And he sat there and said that these people were making baseless claims. They were trying to get bags and all of these things. Now here we have Mike Nice Lewis, who worked with this woman, saying that she told him about this back in the early 90s. So this is not a lie. This is not something she just made up to get money. Okay, this has to be something that was real because she accused him even back then. Now, Combs and Bad Boy came up in conversation, and Lewis says Dickerson Neal's demeanor abruptly changed. Lewis claims that Dickerson Neal told him that she had a very bad sexual experience with Combs, keeping her head down as she talked. He says, I believe Joy. He says, I just knew from what she was telling me that it still affected her, even 2 years later. He and adds Michelle Kiola, attorneys for Dickerson Neal, and new accuser Crystal McKinney, they say the amount of irreparable harm to my clients' mental health and professional lives cannot be overstated. Now, within hours of Dickerson Neal filing her complaint, another woman sued Combs for rape, Liza Gardner, who claims she was 16 in 1990 when she and a friend met Combs and Uptown singer-songwriter Aaron Hall at an MCA Records event in Manhattan. Gardner alleges that the men were very flirtatious and handsy, feeding the girls drinks and inviting them to Hall's residence for an after party. She alleges Combs offered her more alcohol at Hall's home in New Jersey and forced her into sex despite her protest. While she was still shocked and traumatized, trying to get dressed, Hall allegedly barged into the room, pinned her down, and raped her as well. Gardner claims an irate Combs later showed up where she was staying and began choking her until she almost passed out. Combs feared the women would tell his girlfriend what he and Hall had done, according to the lawsuit. Combs' legal team denied Gardner's allegations, calling them a money grab. But another woman who says she was with Gardner the night of the alleged attack corroborated many details of Gardner's lawsuit in a sworn affidavit filed in mid-May. So here again, we have someone who's willing to corroborate what this woman is saying. Okay, so this is the second one. Now, the woman who is the younger sister of the friend mentioned in Gardner's complaint said she has a photo of herself with Gardner and Hall from the evening in question. She recalled frantically looking around Hall's apartment for her sister and Gardner after they disappeared with Combs and Hall. Now, the then 15-year-old said she walked into a room and saw a man watching whatever Puffy was doing to Liza. The woman wrote that she awoke the next morning at a different location where an upset Gardner said that Combs had just shown up there and choked her. Hall did not respond to a request for comments. Now, back in the Uptown office, Combs' inflated ego, outsized opinions, and Machiavellian scheming were becoming a problem for his peers. He went from internally divisive to openly controversial in December of 1991, when he and Heavy D helped organize a celebrity charity basketball game at City College of New York that left 9 people dead, aged 15 to 28, and dozens injured in a stampede. Now, Combs shirked responsibility, claiming he had tried to enlist help from the NYPD and that he had personally administered CPR to several people. But an incident report ordered by then Mayor David Dinkins faulted him for allowing inexperienced underlings to handle the event planning, and found that reckless overpromotion had drawn too many people without tickets to the event. Now, with the city investigating possible criminal charges, lawsuits mounting, and rivals pushing Harrell to cut Combs loose, the Uptown exec urged Combs to lie low. A terrified Combs spent months holed up in a Manhattan hotel with his mother, according to Kirk Burroughs, Bad Boy's co-founding partner and president. Burroughs was fired from Bad Boy in 1997. In 2003, he sued Combs for allegedly threatening him with a baseball bat and coercing him into signing over his stake in the company. His claims were dismissed as beyond the statute of limitations. Now, after the controversy subsided and Combs returned to Uptown, he still considered himself Harrell's heir apparent. Now, but his access to his mentor was restricted. He spent much of 1992 producing Blige's landmark debut, What's the 411, gaining redemption in the album's acclaim. Around this time, he founded his own Uptown imprint, Bad Boy Entertainment, where he could sign his own artists and make extra cash. Burroughs remembers jealous Uptown execs referring to Combs as Satan and flipping him off as they walked by his small offices in the Uptown building. Harrell soured on him too. As Woodley recalls, Harrell said, "I'm going to fire Puff. He's getting a little too big for himself. He's bothering people." Now, with pressure mounting, Harrell fired Combs in July of 1993. Uptown was supposed to oversee the album release of Combs' newest signee, Christopher Wallace, a.k.a. the Notorious B.I.G., but Combs was free to find a new home for his fledgling label. The termination was devastating for Combs. This is what Burroughs says, leaving the 23-year-old crying buckets of tears outside the office. He loved Andre, Burroughs says. He loved Uptown. He didn't understand what Bad Boy was going to be. "I cried for a couple of days and I felt like I wanted to jump off a building." This is what Combs told Rolling Stone in 1995. "I think at times I was hard to work with. Possibly I was doing ish that an a-hole would do, just abusing the power. But that was only a little bit of the time." Now, part 2, the making of a mogul. Cast out of Uptown and blamed for tragedy that claimed 9 lives, Combs could have faded into obscurity, but he was scrappy and determined, quickly securing a reported $10 million deal from Arista Records' Clive Davis that kept Bad Boy Entertainment alive. Okay, clearly his sugar daddy. Well, allegedly. Now he was helming a skeleton crew eager to turn artists into superstars and cement hip-hop as a mainstream genre. While the world did not understand the power of hip-hop, I was working in it and watching it unfold, says Michelle Joyce, Bad Boy's first director of marketing. "I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't if it was going to pop, it was when." It wasn't easy. Hours were brutal, pay was low, and the workload intense. Combs expected his small team to make the impossible possible. Brookshire, the former director of publicity for Arista and Bad Boy, recalls Combs demanding she hire a daredevil to scale a skyscraper to promote the band 112. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Thank you in advance, beloveds. Okay, Albert said, "Don't forget the street money that financed him before Clive Davis." Exactly, beloved. So that's when he sold his soul and got down with Clive Davis and surpassed Andre. Absolutely, that's what it sounds like, beloved. That's exactly what it sounds like. Bruthos says, "How did Diddy survive all these years for acting that way?" He had protection, beloved. He had people afraid. He used intimidation and threats of violence. You know, the threats of ruining people's careers, the threats of having them blackballed and blacklisted. He did all of these things. And not to mention, he had ties to law enforcement, allegedly, according to people and some of the filings in the lawsuits. So he was really protected. And let's not forget that I showed you all the proof and receipts months ago that Diddy was also a confidential informant for the FBI, for a man by the name of Mark Parody back in the day. So clearly he was well protected. Okay, these people could not have anything, could not do anything to stop him at the time. Terry Hartfield says the demonic behavior of Diddy Stein is brutal. Absolutely. Okay. The Anti-Cloud said lifetime achievement of pain. I absolutely agree. This is all nefarious. Now, the next summer, their work paid off with Craig Mack's song Flavor of the Year, okay, and the Notorious B.I.G.'s One More Chance. In the next 3 years, Bad Boy would become the premier label for upcoming hip-hop and R&B artists, churning out chart-topping albums from Faith Evans, Total, and 112, and soundtracking clubs and radio stations nationwide. And in Wallace, Bad Boy had a budding superstar, Biggie Smalls, the storytelling genius with the effortless flow. And so, yeah, Biggie was like his top artist, of course. Craig Mack popped it off with Flavor of the Year, and then Biggie picked it up. And that's why he was so upset when he found out that Biggie was leaving Bad Boy. Please pay attention. Which is why I think that he had Biggie taken out. Now, still Combs was volatile. Burroughs says that he once saw Combs attack a woman inside Bad Boy's office in 1994. He and another employee tell Rolling Stone they had to tear Combs off the woman after hearing screams and the sound of shattering glass. Okay, now the woman declined Rolling Stone's request for comment. Felicia Newsom, the first manager of Bad Boy's recording studio, Daddy's House, said she once held Combs back when he was about to beat this girl's ace after a fight broke out between two women. I'm holding him by the waist saying, you need to calm down. This is not your fight. That's what she recalls. Former Arista intern April Lampros claims Combs turned violent with her too. In a lawsuit filed in May, Lampros alleges that Combs attacked her in a parking garage in the mid-1990s, forcing her to her knees to perform oral sex. It was one of the 4 horrific sexual assaults that she says she endured during their off-on relationship. As Bad Boy was on the rise, staffers kept Combs' transgressions quiet, whether out of loyalty, fear, or belief that such incidents were rare. Outwardly, he was the label's unceasing hype man, ad-libbing on tracks and making cameos in his artist videos. It was clear he wanted something bigger for himself. One says, I distinctly remember the day that Clive Davis called and asked me to start garnering press for Puffy, just as if he were the artist, says Brookshire. Behind his back, I used to call him my problem child. Okay, the notorious VIP. Combs got all of the press that he wanted when he and his LA counterparts, Death Row Records boss Marion Suge Knight, became entangled in a years-long heavyweight hip-hop fight. Now, the pair had once been friendly. Combs even modeled Bad Boy after Death Row. And this is what he told Rolling Stone in 1997. But the subsequent rivalry between Biggie and Knight's charismatic superstar Tupac Shakur would turn into a Pyrrhic victory for both labels. Combs was fond of Shakur, admiring his ability to marry street credibility with mainstream appeal. Burroughs notes that the Bad Boy team spent the summer of '93 studying the rapper's buoyant hit, I Get Around, as a blueprint for commercial hip-hop records. Desperate to be taken seriously, Combs tried to foster a friendship, but Shakur wasn't interested. Pac didn't have any kind of respect for Puff, says 1990s hip-hop photographer Monique Bunn, who was close with Wallace and other Bad Boy artists. To Shakur and even Wallace, Bunn says Combs was a corny executive. Instead, Shakur bonded with Wallace, whom he viewed as his peer, according to Burroughs. As a result, he says, referring to Combs, there was someone on the sidelines. Jealous. So clearly he was jealous of Tupac and Biggie's relationship. Now the friendship would be short-lived. After Shakur was ambushed and shot 5 times in the lobby of Quad Studios in Times Square in 1994, he blamed Combs and the Bad Boy crew for setting him up, which Combs has always denied. From there, everything got blown out of proportion, says Buns. Now, Bad Boy execs started encouraging Wallace to write certain songs. Burroughs says this, despite the rapper not feeling so beefy with his former friend. With tensions frothing, Combs released Wallace's single, Who Shot Ya, in 1995. It was widely viewed as a sneering provocation aimed at Shakur, though Wallace was adamant that it wasn't. Shakur responded with a ferocious hit 'em up, pushing hostilities to their peak. Perhaps seeing a promotional play, Combs stoked the East Coast-West Coast rivalry. The two label heads traded jabs, with Knight cast as the intimidating cigar-chomping gang-affiliated boss, and Combs the slick, clean-cut executive. When a 25-year-old Shakur was murdered in September of 1996 in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, Knight immediately pointed the finger at Combs, who denied involvement. Now, some Bad Boy employees received personal death threats soon after, saying, "I didn't recall reading in the employee manual that dodging bullets was part of my job description," Brookshire says. Last September, Compton Crips gang member Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was charged with Shakur's murder. Now, his trial is set to begin in November. Davis has claimed Combs offered $1 million for a hit on Shakur. Combs vehemently denies the claims. Of course he does. He denies everything. So I just want you all to pay attention. Overthought says a whole grifter. Okay? Michael X said Biggie was a real friend. I agree. Andre and Diddler set up Tupac. Pac was from the East Coast, and that's who tried to get him. JB says that's how this hole gets deeper. So 6 months after Shakur's death in March of 1997, Wallace, age 24, was attending a Soul Train Music Awards after party in Los Angeles when a gunman opened fire on his GMC Suburban, killing him. Police consider the homicide an unsolved act of retaliation. Multiple reports allege Wallace had been preparing to leave Bad Boy shortly before his death. Now, it didn't help that Combs had been fighting with Wallace's attorneys who were trying to wrest back the rapper's publishing rights. "I will never give it up until I'm dead and my bones are crushed into powder." This is what Combs told his attorneys, okay? According to the Big Payback, Biggie was absolutely about to leave Puff, Bun says. "I know for a fact because he told me that." Another source adds that everybody wanted to leave Puffy. Everybody leaves him. Now, Combs capitalized on the shock and sorrow over Wallace's death. Brookshire, who had been traveling in the same SUV as Wallace during press events that day before he died, says Combs denied her request for time off to process her grief. Instead, just 2 weeks after the slaying, she says Combs ordered her to focus all efforts on Wallace's upcoming album, Life After Death. Combs demanded it be number one. Top 10, she recalls. It sold nearly 700,000 copies in its first week. When Rolling Stone approached Bad Boy about a cover opportunity a few months after Biggie's murder, Burroughs claims he advocated for the late rapper to take the spot, saying, "I was telling Sean, let's make it Biggie. You still have a chance for a cover in the future." Now, he says, he's like, "No, he's dead. I'm putting out Combs' debut album, No Way Out, in July. I need to be on the cover of Rolling Stone." Now, Combs got his cover, and 2 years later, he acknowledged how Biggie's death had been big business, saying, "I think his passing added to the fame." Okay, this is what he told Rolling Stone in 1999. At least 2 million of the nearly 5 million copies of No Way Out that were sold were due to his death, straight up. And that doesn't necessarily feel good, but that's the reality. Now, this is what Diddy told Rolling Stone back in 1999. Even Death Row's fearsome boss, who's currently serving a 28-year manslaughter sentence and has been labeled a boogeyman of hip-hop, said that Combs' behavior was distasteful. When Pac left, I didn't pick up a microphone. This is what Knight said on his prison podcast. I picked up the pieces. Now, moving on to part 3. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. People did whatever he said to stay in his good graces. This is the beginning of part 3. And here's the thing. I told you all. This is why he's gotten away with these things for years and why some people are even to this day afraid to speak out against him and just tell the truth. Now, in the late 1990s, fans regularly gathered outside the Daddy's House studio in Midtown Manhattan, angling to see a famous face or pass along a mixtape. We had built this machine, the hottest hip-hop label in the world, and people started to jockey to get next to Puffy, according to Joyce. Now, as the new millennium dawned, hip-hop entered its bling era, with Combs and his artists mining the melodies of the 1980s pop songs to guarantee commercial hits. They wore matching shiny suits, spit raps about designer socks and yachts, draped themselves in diamonds, and filled their big-budget videos with fawning women and bombastic pyrotechnics. Pyrotechnics. Now, goes on to say, the label was thriving off Biggie's legacy and bolstered by rising stars Mace, Shine, and Black Rob. Combs won Grammys and was nominated for his work in outside artists Mariah Carey and R. Kelly. He was nominated for his work with outside artists Mariah Carey and R. Kelly. Now, he entered the upper echelons of New York society, partying with Revlon billionaire Ron Perlman and Donald Trump. Now, there was a certain narcissism, attitude of objectifying not just women, but all people, and wanting to be with other men who enjoyed moving people around like chess pieces. Okay, this is what Sharnoz says of Combs, adding that he was the standard bearer of hip-hop as capitalism and a social mobility play. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. So this is a very lengthy, which lets me know that they conducted quite an investigation. Okay, they conducted quite an investigation into him. So becoming a dominant force in the industry only seemed to amplify Combs' bullying behavior. In April, and see, that's what I was telling you all. He's always been vicious, violent, a control freak, sociopathic, narcissistic. He's always been all of that. But the money that he got and the power and all of the prestige that he got from the music industry only bolstered his ego and the things that he was doing. It didn't turn him into something that he wasn't. He was already everything that this article is depicting, as far as I'm concerned, okay, allegedly. Now, if all of the allegations are true, and I in fact believe that they are. So in April of 1999, he barged into the office of Interscope Records executive Steve Stout and allegedly turned violent. Combs was furious that Stout didn't cut him from a crucifixion scene in a Nas music video before sending it to MTV. He punched me in the face and then he grabbed the phone and bashed me in the head with it, according to Stout. Combs privately settled with Stout, reportedly for $500,000, and dodged a 7-year prison sentence by pleading to a reduced charge of harassment. That summer, Combs released his second album, Forever. The album's critical and commercial failure, it sold less than half what its predecessor did. It hardly diminished Combs' star power, though. So, this is what I'm saying. It was terrible. Diddy basically has no talent, as far as I'm concerned. He has a talent for grifting people and running cons and scams. But that album did absolutely terrible. Now, a few months later, in December, Combs was arrested after a nightclub shooting in which 3 people were injured. His newest star, Shine, aka Jamal Michael Barrow, was convicted of firing the shots and sentenced to 10 years. Now, Barrow was deported to Belize upon his 2009 release. Combs, meanwhile, was charged with weapons possession and attempted bribery after he and then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez fled the shooting in a Lincoln Navigator that reportedly ran 11 red lights. I mean, honey, they had to be flying, okay? They had to be flying, clearly fleeing the scene. Ran 11 red lights. I want you all to pay attention. Ann says, I never heard all of these things before. It's so crazy. Yes, absolutely. You see, this is new details that were released due to the 6-month investigation conducted on Diddy by Rolling Stone. Locked Queen Candy J says, Lord, this is all too much. Nefarious is an understatement. Absolutely. Okay. Al Rich says, what's interesting is he still had to answer to the people above him. So he's still a puppet. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Terry Hinn says, no talent at all, Queen. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And here's the thing. Yes, he did still have to answer to these people above him because they were the actual gatekeepers. Diddy, in my opinion, is an overseer. That's what he was. Okay, he was the person watching the slaves work, and as soon as they slacked up or tried to take a break, he would whip them with he would beat them with the whip. Okay, and then go and snitch on them to his masters. Please pay attention. Also nefarious. So ran 11 red lights. Now Combs was facing up to 15 years in prison if convicted. Kevin Rogers Francis, a host at Combs' restaurant Justin's, who did marketing work for Combs for his short-lived magazine Notorious, recalls the mogul scrambling for money, shuttering the magazine and hitting the restaurant's drawers for cash in what Francis presumed was an effort to cover hefty legal bills. So he's been getting sued from back in the 90s. Okay, please pay attention. Now, the prosecutor claimed that Diddy offered cash to witnesses after some said Combs was the shooter. Okay, victim Natanya Rubin has been adamant that Combs fired the bullet that tore through her nose. Combs' own driver testified that Combs offered him $50,000, using a $40,000 pinky ring as collateral. So he was just doing anything and everything. He was trying so desperately to escape consequences for his nefarious actions. Now, if he would say he owned the unlicensed gun, or he wanted him to say that he owned the unlicensed gun found in the SUV. So that's why he offered this man $50,000 and then wanted to give him the pinky ring as collateral. Others have claimed that Combs paid as much as $1 million to Barrow through an intermediary to buy his silence. Barrows denies the claim to Rolling Stone, calling it ridiculous misinformation. Now, after a 6-week trial, Combs was acquitted in March of 2011. So basically, they're talking about how it has been alleged that Diddy, through L.A. Reid, gave Shine $1 million. And L.A. Reid allegedly, they're saying that he actually gave him the funds under the pretense of a record deal, which never came to fruition. So I find it also egregious. Now, with his mounting scandals, a tabloid relationship with J-Lo, and the popularity of his Sean John clothing line, which launched in 1998, Combs entered the pop culture stratosphere. It became a point of pride to work for Bad Boy, says former employee Flash Rodriguez. It wasn't just a company, it was a lifestyle, he says. But Combs was difficult to work for. Employees who wanted to stick around had to learn how to speak to Puffy. Okay, Brookshire said this was reported by multiple sources. Now, a demanding boss, Combs often yelled to get his point across and fired employees on a whim. No one on his team at Bad Boy spoke back to him. This is what former Daddy's House studio manager Newsom says. No one challenged him. Another source recalls Mace, whose real name is Mason Betha, calling Combs Massa behind his back. Betha did not reply to requests for comment. I can see that. I absolutely can see it. It sounds very plausible at the end of the day. He says he was so volatile, says a source who sometimes worked with Bad Boy. He's always on the edge of snapping and being scary. People did whatever he said people did whatever he said to stay in his good graces, and Puffy exploited people's desires to be in those environments. Part 4. Why is nobody saying anything? Are they scared of him? Well, of course they are. These people that are sitting around silent, they're definitely scared. And Adam Kusher, who was good friends with Diddy, because they both worked on MTV together, basically has been shook and thinks that he's going to be one of the people called to testify, thinks he's going to get a subpoena. And if and when he does, I just wonder what he'll have to say about Diddy. And so, goes on to say, after Combs' acquittal in the nightclub shooting in 2001, he reportedly headed straight to church. He later made a less God-fearing visit to the Peninsula Hotel, where he was throwing a massive bash to celebrate the verdict, saying it was there that Anna, a freelance graphic designer working with Bad Boy marketing team, says Combs approached her and began to massage her shoulders. So unwanted touching, groping, and all of that. The woman requested a pseudonym, citing fear of retribution. She says, "I'm getting touched on my shoulder, arms, and back." He's like, "Oh, yeah, you like that. I know you like that." Like, really, really gross, Anna recalls, sharing her story public for the first time. I was like, no, not so much. And I sort of floated my way out of there. Now, Anna says she avoided Combs the rest of the night. Weeks later, her boss's girlfriend confided that Combs allegedly approached the boss the night of the party to solicit me for SEX, Anna says. A friend confirmed to Rolling Stone that Anna told her about both the encounter and the proposed arrangement when they began working together a few years later. The boss did not return Rolling Stone's request for comment for an interview, and the girlfriend declined to speak. And here's the thing. The only way you find out about, these nefarious things that Diddy did is when people come forward and expose him. Okay. And by that, I mean the things that we've never heard before. So shout out to the 50 people who gave these salacious details, because some of them were clearly afraid to speak. All right. Out of 300, only 50 had something to say. This is very much so like the Weinstein case, because there was over 100 people that had allegations and incidents that occurred with him, but only 82 of them were willing to come forward and speak about it. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Let me find my place real quick. Hold on. So goes on to say, a friend confirmed to Rolling Stone that Anna told her about both the encounter and the proposed arrangement when they began working together a few years later. Okay. The boss did not return Rolling Stone's request for an interview, and the girlfriend declined to speak. So here's another accusation that has been, basically corroborated by a witness. Okay, or someone that the person told this information to. Trying to solicit her for SEX. And here's the thing. That's the same thing he was doing to Cassie. That's the same thing that Cassie alleges he was doing to her, should I say. Now, it goes on to say, I felt quite unsettled about this for years. When people ask me about my days at Bad Boy, it's just overshadowed by his crap. This is what Anna said, adding that Diddy treated her as though she existed to accommodate his whims. This is all so nefarious at the end of the day. It really is. Now, Combs often flaunted his sexual encounters, even if underage artists were around to see. A teenage Usher briefly lived at Combs' New York house in the early 90s as a young Bad Boy protege. Puff introduced me to a totally different set of ish. SEX specifically, Usher recalled in Rolling Stone in a 2004 report, an interview, saying there were always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen. Now I want you all to pay attention. This is all so sick and clear to nefarious. Now, you mean to tell me he was doing all of this in the presence of Usher, who was a kid at the time, who was like 13 years old? This is all so sick and clearly disturbing. It is absolutely very disturbing, beloveds. Please pay attention. Now, Casey Sheridan, a member of the teenage girl band Dream, recalls the group being summoned for a meeting with Combs at a Beverly Hills hotel bungalow when she was 15, and awkwardly eyeing a purse and a pair of high heels by the front door as the group waited. Now, after 20 minutes, a bathrobed Combs emerged from a nearby room. It's like you can't even keep our innocence. Okay, I'm 15, walking into this situation, knowing exactly what he was doing next door, she said. Now, feeding off of his fame and power, Combs appeared to be pushing his most sickening impulses even further. Model Crystal McKinney was photographed during a star-studded Sean John fashion show in February of 2003. Hours later, according to her recent lawsuit, Combs said that she was acting too uptight and pressured her to take a hit from a laced joint. She alleges that he then forced her to perform oral on him despite her resistance. And the night sent McKinney into a tailspin of anxiety and depression that she says resulted in a suicide attempt. She says, I had a whole future in modeling mapped out that was stolen from me. Being sexually assaulted and having no recourse is so painful, she says. I felt like I was dying every day because I did not yet have the strength to come forward. I hope that by speaking out, I can help other survivors come forward and seek peace. Now, all of these allegations, some of them we've heard before, but some of them come from people from his past, and even dating back to college, like I told you. And I just wonder why he was never arrested when he was in college. Because back then, I don't think he really had any added protection like he did when he got into the music industry. So did these young women that he was abusing, specifically the one that he beat with a belt allegedly, did she press charges? Did she go to the authorities, or did she just try to keep it to herself? I just have a whole lot of questions. Because this is all real crazy to me. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Hold on, let me find my space or find my spot. So not long after the spring and fall of 2003, a 17-year-old girl who was out one night with friends at a Detroit area lounge when a man in a suit approached and allegedly introduced himself as Combs' best friend. Okay, the man purportedly called Combs and let the girl speak directly with the famed producer, who was twice her age, mind you. Now, the man alleged to be the former bad boy president, Harve Pierre, and he convinced the girl to board a private jet and to take the 2-hour flight to Teterboro, New Jersey, just outside New York, to meet Combs in person, according to a lawsuit that was filed in December by the girl. Okay, now an adult Jane Doe plaintiff. Then a high school junior, she was awestruck. Then a high school junior, she was awestruck by the opportunity, documenting the trip with photos from inside Daddy's house, where she's seen pretending to record a song, pointing at Combs' initials on the wall and sitting on his lap. So for those of you who saw that report, we're not reported on that. She was absolutely sitting on his lap. Also crazy. So Albert says, what's interesting is a lot of these women don't know each other, but are all saying the same things about this dude. Yes, beloveds. And that's what I've been telling you all, that it's very interesting to me that his attorneys and him keep trying to deny the accusations. But of course, that's what his attorneys are supposed to do. But the fact that, they're sitting there trying to act like these women just want money and all of that, and as if these things didn't actually ever occur, it's just very egregious as far as I'm concerned. Okay, it's very egregious. Now, he's sitting there saying all these people are lying, but people that don't even know or who weren't there, who just happen to know these people, believe that they're telling the absolute truth. And as far as I'm concerned, you have to be an absolute low down and clearly nefarious person for all of these people to come out and say these things about you. I mean, nobody's sitting at home making these things up. Nobody's doing that. Everything that they're saying likely is exactly what happened, and probably then some. Things that we won't ever even hear about. Okay, things that he's successfully buried. And maybe he's buried the people that knew them. I don't know. But at the end of the day, Diddy is something else. He is quite a piece of work. Okay, quite a piece of work. Please pay attention. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, I'm going to get back to it in just a second. Scrolling because I lost my place. Okay, so here we go. Now, the photos were included in the lawsuit to corroborate the woman's allegations that she was gang raped that night by Harv Pierre, Combs, and a third unidentified man inside the recording studio. The woman claims the men plied her with drugs and alcohol until she was nearly unconscious and not able to consent. As she started to black out, she claims Combs led her to a bathroom where he removed her skirt and underwear and then penetrated her. Now, as she drifted in and out, the unnamed assailant replaced Combs and raped her from behind as Combs watched, according to her. Now, the woman alleges that Pierre replaced the second man, and then he too assaulted her. When the man finished, she fell into a fetal position on the floor in excruciating pain and was later escorted out of the building and flown back to Michigan, she claims. This is absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. Now, Combs' lawyer filed a motion to dismiss, calling Doe's account a decades-old tale, a baseless claim, and an effort to extract an undeserved financial recovery. Okay, Pierre did not reply to requests for comment, but previously called the accusation fiction and a desperate attempt for financial gain. Now, they go on to say that drugs were a consistent part of Combs' life. This is what Cassie alleged in her lawsuit, claiming that he was addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy quite frequently. She claims he had pills and other drugs out in the open, like candy, and that he would supply alcohol, ecstasy, cocaine, the sedative GHB, ketamine, and marijuana during freak-offs. But far from enhancing a party vibe, Ventura and others say these substances only darkened his mood. Once Combs got drunk or high enough, says one frequent party guest in the early 2000s, he would turn violent and loud. He would take his anger out on people. It was at several points when Combs was extremely intoxicated. Ventura alleges that he beat her. And from the video footage that we saw on the night of the hotel beating, well, he absolutely had been drinking. Now, an industry source says they once left a party at Combs' home because they felt so uncomfortable watching an aggressive Combs yell at Ventura throughout the night. You could tell in her eyes that she was scared, they said. I'm like, this is not normal. Am I tripping right now? Why is nobody saying anything? Are they all scared of him? Well, likely so. Likely they were all scared of him because Diddy is likened to a crime boss as far as I'm concerned. Likened to a whole crime boss. Roddy says, doesn't all this sound demonic? Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. So please pay attention. It's all crazy. Hold on, beloveds. Let me check my inbox real quick. Hold on. Okay, Desmond, you're saying check my inbox. Did you send it to my phone or did you send it to my email? Because I don't see anything in my inbox, beloved. Hold on, I'm trying to see what you're talking about. Okay. Well, you all, more information on Diddy. This is all nefarious. Thank you, Desmond. Let me send this to my email, honey. This just came out. Okay, we are getting all of the receipts on Diddy in real time. Please pay attention. I'm going to send this to my email so we can talk about it. This is all nefarious. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Like and share. Remember, you heard it here first. Okay, so here we go. Human nature says, I think Diddy is a sociopath and a psychopath. Well, he's definitely a sociopath, but beloved. And actually, as I've said a myriad of times, a sociopath and a psychopath, the only difference between the two is that the psychopath was born that way. They were born without a conscience, without the ability to feel sympathy, empathy, or remorse for anyone other than themselves. The sociopath is exactly the same way, but they became that way through things that they, dealt with in society, through things that they have just done, okay? They weren't born that way. They evolved into becoming that way. So let's talk about it. I'm going to pull this up. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. This is all nefarious. Okay, so I'm going to put the Rolling Stone report on pause for a second. Let's talk about this grand jury, honey. Oh, this is crazy. Diddy grand jury impaneled in Fed probe faces possible indictments. Okay, so goes on to say that CNN published a story Wednesday morning. Oh, no. We already talked about this. We already talked about that. Thank you, Desmond, but that's the same thing we already talked about, okay? April says, you're completely right, Queen. Yes. Thank you, beloved, okay? This is all crazy. Oh, hell no, said at Desmond Works is the co-sleuth of the channel. Absolutely, right? Okay. Queen of Montague said, what did he do now? Okay. No, so that was just basically TMZ reporting on what I talked to you all about previously about the federal probe and the indictment that's forthcoming and the grand jury being impaneled. So we talked about that at the beginning. So TMZ is just getting the news, which is interesting because they're usually the first ones to report it. But CNN beat them to the punch this time. So thanks, Des. Oh, so with that all being said, in a 2015 appearance on the Breakfast Club radio show, Diddy described the deal he offers his girlfriends. Now listen to this. He says, if I'm in a relationship with you, 25% of your time, you're going to just feel like, oh man, I hate being here. Okay, this guy cheated on me. He lied on me. This is what he explained while sitting next to his teenage son, Christian. Now, this is very interesting because you see Diddy's actions and his mindset and the things that he's capable of, these things are definitely, in my opinion, inherited by his sons, okay? Specifically Christian. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Now, but then there's a 75% of, I'm going to make you the happiest woman in the whole wide world. I'm going to be there to support your dreams. I'm going to be there to hold you, listen to you. I'm going to be there to be your best friend. And I promise you'll smile the most. You know who I am. This is what it is. That was all lies and BS, because at the end of the day, it sounds like 75% of that was full of his nefariousness, okay? Like you'd be asking yourself, what the hell did I get myself into, okay? So which deal would you choose is the question. There was one term of the deal that Combs never disclosed, according to sources. They say the women who signed up for it were not allowed to walk away. Damian Vasquez, a former Bad Boy intern, says after Combs and Lopez broke up, Combs had his staffers camp outside MTV's TRL studios with signs to win her back. This is also dramatic, okay? And clearly crazy. Ventura claimed that every time she hid, Combs' network of operatives found her and implored her to return, including a Bad Boy executive who threatened to withhold the release of her music if she didn't return Combs' calls. So not only was he blackmailing these women, he had his people, his operatives, blackmailing these women. Not only was he threatening these women and threatening their careers, he had his operatives also allegedly threatening these women and their careers. This is all crazy. So when people ask, why didn't Cassie leave? Why did she keep coming back? This is why right here. The writing was on the wall. He had people working at his behest. He was paying them to do whatever he told them to do. And they were not only doing it for checks, some of these people were doing it also out of fear. So it goes on to say, Ventura claimed that every time she hid, Combs' network of operatives found her and implored her to return, including a bad boy executive who threatened to withhold the release of her music if she didn't return Combs' calls. After Ventura left Combs, he tried to paint a picture of a heartbroken, hurt man, a source who knew the couple throughout the relationship says, and says when the reality was he was a liar and an abuser. Burroughs believes that Burroughs believes Combs' losses at a young age, especially the murder of his father, took a toll on his relationships. He says he is fortified now with money and power, but abandonment and the act of leaving can bring about vicious results, he says, and the women catch it the worst. Combs' longtime partner, Kim Porter, who died of lobar pneumonia in 2018, was no exception. And speaking of Kim Porter, they really need to reopen that case. They really need to reopen the case of Kim Porter. And for those of you who saw the autopsy report that I went over in full detail with all the receipts, you remember, I'm sure, all of the inconsistencies. And it just sounds like someone committed a homicide. Like she didn't just die from lobar pneumonia. It sounds like someone killed her. She had bruising. She had different, different injuries to her hand, her face, and all of that. Okay? And so it sounds like she was fighting for her life. That's what it sounds like. Now, goes on to say the relationship was tumultuous, according to two sources who claim that Combs physically abused her. Okay, so former bad boy rapper Mark Curry says, I remember Kim used to go through a lot of stuff. If you live around them, you get to see the toxic relationship. I think every relationship he had that I experienced around him was like that. And here's a picture of him and Kim in the younger days. This is in 1994. OG Patrice said, Queen, there's a petition online to open Kim Porter's case. Absolutely. And this is what they need to do. Roddy says, I am begging that they reopen the Kim Porter case. Absolutely. Okay? This is what they need to do because I definitely believe that he had everything to do with her demise. That's a picture of him and Kim from 1994. Okay? Michael X said he killed Kim and Tupac. Absolutely. I believe he had both of them taken out. I don't believe he necessarily did it himself, but I believe that he absolutely paid and hired people to do certain things. And the very thing that was interesting to me is the fact that, what's her name? Kim Kardashian's mom, Kris Jenner, her boyfriend was on the scene. Okay, what was Gamble doing on the scene? And let's not forget that Kanye accused him of being a CIA agent. Okay. Now, Combs and Porter first got together in 1994 and dated on and off until 2007. She ended it for good upon learning Combs had fathered a secret child while she was pregnant with her twin daughters. Now, there were other infidelities, including Combs' affair with Lopez, okay, J. Hope, all right? But Combs never let Porter truly move on, she told Essence. Now, he still called 50 to 60 times a day, she said. It was like my life was not my own. He was very, very intrusive. I want you all to pay attention. This is a pattern of nefarious behavior. This is not the first time someone has said that Diddy called them a myriad of times. If you remember, just in the other allegations days ago from April Lampros, she said that once she tried to cut ties with him, he called her a myriad of times, like 50 times or so, and then, was sending her flowers and gifts and all of this and cards, trying to get her back and just trying to be deceptive and act like he's changed and all these things. And then let's not forget also that Claudia Jordan said that when she took those pictures with him backstage that time at the event, that when it got put on MediaTakeout.com, she woke up the next day to 52 missed text messages from him. So clearly he's obsessive. Now, in 2000, Porter's fledgling courtship with the late music executive Shakur Stewart enraged Combs. He was furious. Okay, when the industry gathered for LA Reid's wedding in Italy that summer, Combs went to Stewart's room after the ceremony and allegedly broke a chair over Stewart's head. Stewart's mother and two of his close friends tell Rolling Stone. They say he left him bleeding on a hotel floor in Italy. That's what Stewart's mother, Portia, says. He had to have stitches, and then Combs threatened him, "I'm going to kill you." That's when I said, you need to get out of this business. This man is crazy. It's all nefarious. Now, part 5. I've noticed him kill a lot of people's spirits. By the mid-2000s, Bad Boy had hemorrhaged several top acts, including Faith Evans, as well as Total, 112, Craig Mack, and Foxy Brown. Now, 2 decades later, nearly all of Combs' artists had left him. Apart from himself, stepson Quincy Jones, and son Christian, only Janelle Monáe is left on the label. Okay, a rep for Janelle Monáe did not respond to a request for comments. Machine Gun Kelly's last track released with Bad Boy was in February of 2024. He started his own label, okay, established 19XX under Interscope. Now, Rolling Stone reached out to dozens of artists who've been signed up to Bad Boy to ask about their experiences with the label. Many declined, with one saying, "I don't have anything nice to say when it comes to my time with Bad Boy. It was not a good experience." And one said, "I really don't want to relive, okay? I don't want to relive it." Now, those who did speak to Rolling Stone say they felt their time with the label was squandered through lack of direction, and spent years at Bad Boy without even releasing any music. So just putting people on the shelves. And here's the thing. I told you all before that Diddy was jealous of these people. He was jealous of a lot of his own artists because they were so talented and he was so lackluster. He had no real talent. He made his money, the bulk of his money, off of the talents of other people. Okay? Just like his sugar daddy, Clive Davis. All right? So this is what Diddy did. And some of these people, I think that he intentionally put them on the shelves and, probably stole their ideas, their lyrics and all of that, but put them on the shelves because he didn't want to get them to be famous. He wanted to use them to catapult himself. That's just my opinion. Now, Curry, who was affiliated with Bad Boy from 1997 to 2006, has been one of the most outspoken detractors, writing about his dealings with Combs in his 2009 book, Dancing with the Devil, How Puff Burned the Bad Boys of Hip Hop. Now, he says Combs repeatedly promised to produce his solo album, but never gave him a budget. He says there's different ways you can kill a person, Curry tells Rolling Stone. I've noticed him kill a lot of people's spirits. He is this monster. Nothing has changed. This guy got no soul, no duty to anyone, not even his kids, okay? And this is all true as far as I'm concerned. And that was a quote from Rodney Jones, okay, a.k.a. Lil Rod. That's what he says. And I absolutely believe it because Rodney also said in the lawsuit filings that Diddy said that he would kill his own mother if it came to him getting what he wanted. Now, not everyone felt the same. Singer-songwriter Kalina Harper says one of the highs of her life was joining Combs' Diddy Dirty Money group in 2009. She was later invited to work with Combs on the Love album. He was effing cool as ish, she says, adding that artists who blame Combs for the trajectory of their careers may suffer from disgruntled employee syndrome. Lady, please sit down, okay? Please sit down. Here's the thing. Her career couldn't have been all of that. Kalina Harper, how many of you have ever heard of her? Please, ones in the chats, okay? Ask questions. She's likely someone who's just clout chasing, or not clout chasing, but basically trying to stay in his good graces for whatever reason, or just afraid to tell the truth. That's just my opinion. Now, years ago, there were whispers that some Bad Boy and A&R executives would expect asexual favors from female artists in exchange for professional attention. Now, imagine that. You're in the studio trying to record your music, and then you find out that they expect you to give them things that you don't want to give in order for you to complete your album or whatever. So it wasn't just him, apparently. He was allowing other artists, male executives or whatever, on his label to also assault these women, okay? Also sick. Now, goes on to say, one person says, like, we can make or break your career. What are you going to do about it? Going to HR was useless. They say if you want your job, you're not going there to complain. That's what they would say. Now on the Call Her Daddy podcast in 2022, Daddy Kane's Aubrey O'Day said she was kicked out of the group because she wasn't willing to do certain things, not talent-wise, but in other areas. She refused to get specifics, saying the truth was what you can imagine. Okay, there was no #MeToo, she added. You signed 1 million NDAs and 1 million contracts that took away your rights. Asked by Rolling Stone to elaborate, O'Day simply said, the answer to what happens if you don't do what the executives want, I'm the full-blown effing story of that, she said. Some who left Combs worried that he might try to expel them from the industry altogether. Brooklyn rapper Lanice Babs Bunny Wiley of Combs' MTV reality show Making the Band says she was blackballed after leaving the label. Okay, Bun, the photographer, claims that her gigs instantly dried up after winning a lawsuit against Combs in 2000 for withholding a set of Biggie's photos from her. She claims a friend at the Fader magazine told her that Combs personally called the office and said if they worked with Bun, Bad Boy would pull its advertising from the magazine. So he had all this power and prestige. He was able to get things done. He was able to make people lose their jobs. Let's not forget how he got Wendy Williams fired because she was going to expose that picture of the guy pulling down his shorts on the beach and all of that, exposing his butt. I mean, he was just low down and dirty. Now, and this is what is really crazy to me. Some of these people who are out here trying to cape for him, trying to defend him, saying, oh, you're doing this to a black man. They don't care that most of his victims, most of his accusers are black. They don't care that a myriad of people have been saying the same things about him for decades. They don't care that he took money from his artists to enrich himself. They don't care about all the threats that he said about blackballing people and how he's made people actually lose their entire careers or livelihood. They don't care that he's been allegedly tied to debts of other people. They don't care about that. They don't think that it's weird that there's a whole list and slew of people that surrounded him at once who were in his inner circle who are now deceased under strange circumstances and that people have alleged that he possibly had something to do with it. They don't care about any of that. No, of course they don't. And I just have to wonder why. They don't care about the accusations of his predatory behavior. You have to think that some of these people may have been in cahoots with Diddy, or perhaps they are predators themselves. Because no logical, rational thinking person with an ounce of empathy, sympathy, or moral fortitude would dare to defend his foolishness, okay? It's his nefariousness. No one with moral fortitude would do so, okay? And that's just what it is. There's no way you can defend these things. And so, speaking of Wendy Williams, it goes on to say, talk show host Wendy Williams wrote in her 2004 book that Combs spent a lot of money and used a lot of his influence to try to crush me after she posted an alleged sexual photo of Combs and another man on her website. Combs denied that it was him in the photo. I've seen the photo and trust and believe it was absolutely him. Okay? Now, and music producer Easy Mo B claimed in February that after he challenged Combs over credit Combs had given himself on the producer's song, he noticed certain people wouldn't deal with him, saying that he's someone you don't want to make an enemy out of, says one former employee of Combs. When people do go against him, that person gets ostracized. For some, the effects of being shunned by Combs were profound. Francesca Spiro joined Bad Boy Entertainment in 1998, rising through the company to become Combs' right-hand woman. But Spiro alleged in an age and disability discrimination lawsuit that Combs illegally fired her in 2010. Now, she claims that Combs froze her out after she took time to recover from a hip surgery and voluntarily checked into rehab to treat a lapse in her sobriety. Spiro tried to continue working in the music industry, but opportunities would disappear. Okay, this is what one of her family members said. The alleged blacklisting led to significant health issues, which brought her to her end. This is what her relative said. She was devastated by the way she was treated. She felt betrayed. And unfortunately, Spiro died in 2014. This is also sad, you guys. This is really, really sad. And just really goes to show what a depraved person that Diddy is and has always been. Now, as an ex-bad boy president, Burroughs puts it that Combs never forgets a grudge. If he sees a snag in the sweater, he'll barefoot humbly heels home in black tie attire and beaded gowns, sipping champagne and ice-cold Ciroc, the vodka brand that Combs shielded for a share of the profits. They admired the breathtaking Kerry James Marshall painting that Combs had recently purchased for $21 million. Now, guests Beyonce and Jay-Z rubbed shoulders with Dr. Dre, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kobe Bryant, Cardi B, Snoop Dogg, Kim Kardashian, Usher, and Post Malone. It was a crowning moment for Combs, a testament to the multifaceted success that he had worked so hard to achieve. Combs had conquered fashion, winning Menswear Designer of the Year at the prestigious Council of Fashion Designers of America Awards in 2004. Okay, acted on Broadway, became the co-owner of De Leon Tequila, founded the Revolt TV cable network, purchased the sports beverage company Aqua Hydrate with Mark Wahlberg, and filmed a cameo in Disney's 2014 movie Muppets Most Wanted. He even legally changed his middle name to Love. Now, with his hard edges seemingly polished away by his gilded life, Combs appeared untouchable. It was all the perfect cover for his alleged physical and sex abuse claims, okay, of Cassie Ventura. Ventura says there were multiple witnesses to her alleged mistreatment, but they were too afraid to cross Combs. She claims that both of Combs' head of security and his assistant began to cry when they saw the extent of her injuries. In an open letter published by Rolling Stone, Ventura's friend Tiffany Red wrote that she was present the night Ventura says she was forced to leave her 2015 surprise birthday party for another freak-off with Combs. Red recalled seeing Ventura backed up against a wall with Combs cursing her out. She said Ventura returned later that night, apparently sedated, while Combs screamed at Red, "Tell your girl she wants some birthday D. I flew all the way from Miami. She gonna get this birthday D." Red wrote that she told a visibly angry Combs to leave Ventura alone. She recalled Combs ignoring her and driving off with Ventura in a golf cart. This is all nefarious. And look at this picture of Cassie. This picture right here, Cassie looks so forlorn. This is the night of her birthday party, because I do believe it says Combs and Ventura in 2015. Cassie looks so stressed out right here. This is really sad. Now just look at this. Look at the look on this poor woman's face. Okay? This is absolutely crazy. Combs' physical abuse extended to Ventura's inner circle as well, according to her lawsuit. Now, she claims one of her friends obtained a settlement after a physical altercation with Combs in 2018. After Ventura's birthday party in 2015, a severely intoxicated Combs allegedly dangled another of Ventura's friends over a 17th floor balcony. Neither friend responded to a request for comment from Rolling Stone. One source who worked with Combs and Ventura says people fail to speak up because Combs doesn't believe in being told no. And if you get caught up in the wrath of that, it could be very dangerous. Now, in her lawsuit, Ventura says that she finally found the strength to leave for good when Combs allegedly forced his way into her apartment and raped her in September of 2018, the night she met him for dinner to discuss breaking up. She claims Combs pulled off her clothing and assaulted her as she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. A month later, people reported the relationship was over, citing a source who said Ventura was moving on with renewed focus on her career. Though Ventura's alleged hell at the hands of Combs was largely unknown until she filed her complaint, overlapping public claims about Combs' behavior made minor headlines during their decade together. In 2017, Combs was sued for sexual harassment by personal chef Cindy Rueda in a lawsuit that seemed bizarre at the time, but has gained renewed scrutiny. Now, you all may remember that I reported on that months ago as well, last year sometime. Now, Rueda claimed that when she worked for Combs in 2015 and part of 2016, he regularly had her serve dishes while he and his guests were engaged in sexual activity. This is all so disgusting. Can you imagine? You're out here trying to do your job and serve food and drinks, and this is what they have going on? Please. Okay, Rueda claimed that Combs once asked her to prepare a post-coital meal, then greeted her fully naked and asked if she liked his naked body. I would have thrown up on the scene. One incident in August of 2015 allegedly involved Combs ordering Rueda to serve him breakfast in his room and then partaking in sexual activity with model Gina Hoon, the one that said that he beat her when she was pregnant and stomped on her stomach and all of that. So said he was engaged in sexual activity with Gina Hoon as Rueda dropped the food on the table and fled. The lawsuit was forced into arbitration and ended privately. A lawyer for Rueda did not reply to requests for comments. Hoon, meanwhile, it reemerged in 2019 with claims that Combs beat her. In an interview with gossip blogger Tasha K, Hoon said that she started dating Combs in 2014 and that he offered her $50,000 to terminate a pregnancy that year. Hoon also said that Combs shoved her to the ground and dragged her by the hair in 2018, just like we saw him do to Cassie in that video that was so nefarious. And in a jealous rage, he once stomped on her stomach. The allegations barely made a ripple, and Hoon went silent after the interview. Hoon declined to comment for this article. And here's the thing. The sad thing is that no one believed this young woman. No one believed these nefarious things that he did. Okay? When a lot of these things were said, people just let it get swept under the rug. I guess they thought it was outlandish and that it didn't sound true and that that's not the puppy that they knew or wanted to view. That's not the way they wanted to view him as. Just all nefarious. Please pay attention. So the Detroit area Jane Doe, who sued Combs and Pierre in December, tells Rolling Stone that she hopes her suit will hold not just Combs, but also all of those who acted with him, okay, who stood silent and actively covered up his behavior. All of them should be held accountable. And I absolutely agree. In her lawsuit, she said her nightmare was not an isolated incident and pointed to another Jane Doe who sued Pierre on November of 2020, November the 21st. The woman alleges that Pierre groomed and sexually assaulted her when she was his assistant between 2016 and 2017. Then in early February, Jones, the Love album producer, sued. The 73-page complaint filed by lawyer Tyrone Blackburn, which included unusual elements such as photos of the defendants and redacted names that could easily be deciphered, claimed that Jones worked, traveled, and often lived with Combs while producing 9 songs for the project. Now, Jones described his experience as a hedonistic hellscape. Okay, he claimed to have hundreds of hours of footage and audio capturing Combs, his staff, and his guests engaged in serious illegal activity, including the use and distribution of ecstasy, Coca-Cola, ketamine, marijuana candy, mushrooms, GHB, and Tusi, a pink powder described as a mixture of ecstasy and Coca-Cola. He claimed that at one party in July of 2023, Combs fed him ecstasy-laced liquor until he blacked out and woke up naked next to an sex worker. Now, Jones says that Combs terrorized him with constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his parts between his cheeks, okay? And that Combs kept him compliant by displaying weapons, threatening to eat his face, and according to the suit, informing Jones that he was willing to kill his own mother if he must to get what he wanted. Okay, Combs' attorney claims that the complaint is pure fiction. Now, he's a monster. Nothing has changed. This is what Jones told Rolling Stone shortly before filing his lawsuit. This guy got no soul. He has no duty to anyone, not even his kids. Now, Combs' associates, meanwhile, have faced allegations of their own. 25-year-old Brendan Paul, who Jones described in his lawsuit as Combs' drug mule, was arrested and charged with Coca-Cola possession during the raids on Combs' properties. Paul pleaded not guilty, but later accepted a deal in May, agreeing to complete a drug diversion program, after which his case will be dismissed. Now, the deal was offered because Paul is considered a first-time offender, and the substance amount allegedly found was not of a trafficking level, according to a spokesperson for the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office. In early April, yacht steward Grace O'Marcaig sued Combs and his 26-year-old son, Christian, alleging that Christian drugged and attacked her on board a luxury vessel rented for a 2022 vacation in St. Martin. While filming a since-scrapped family reality show for Hulu. This is when all of this supposedly occurred. Now, according to NBC News, O'Marcaig said can be heard in an audio recording, asking Christian to stop touching her legs. She claims that Christian later tried to force her to perform oral. Okay, and these allegations that he denies. Okay, allegations he denies through his father's attorney. Now, Christian Combs' lawyer, Aaron Dyer, did not reply to requests for comment on the allegation, but previously claimed that O'Marcaig's complaint was rife with manufactured lies and irrelevant facts. Now, part 7. Is this the end? On May the 4th, Combs posted a video of himself standing by an ocean, staring down a tropical monsoon with his arms outstretched as the recorded voice of his spiritual advisor, T.D. Jakes, booms. Not hysterical, not frantic, not anxious, not fretful, but steady in the storm. Okay, so with that all being said, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. I do have that, I believe. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here it is right here. This is also nefarious. I mean, all of these details. Now, I know we have heard a lot of things about Diddy in the past, but hold on, beloved. I'm going to download this real quick. Okay, so we've heard a lot of things about Diddy, but, you know, some of these things that are being brought out by this Rolling Stone expose, this 6-month investigation, are things that we never even heard before. Okay, him being rough and abusive and belligerent in college, beating his girlfriend then with a belt, and doing all this crazy stuff, allowing his employees or his execs, you know, at his company to basically just blackmail women, coerce them into sexual relationships, and all of this stuff is just sick. Okay, at the end of the day, Diddy should be ashamed of himself. He absolutely should be ashamed of himself, but I digress. But let's continue. Now, goes on to say, while Combs gathers support where he can, the new allegations have reshaped his world. After stepping down from Revolt, he reportedly sold his shares in March. The Harlem Charter School that he co-founded reportedly cut ties and scrubbed his name from its website. In April, premium liquor giant Diageo revealed it paid approximately $200 million to buy the outstanding 50% share of their De Leon tequila brand from Combs, fully dissolving their partnership. In a 2023 court filing, Diageo said that Combs had amassed nearly $1 billion from their 15-year relationship. And the wave of lawsuits reignited industry beef with Combs' longtime rival, 50 Cent, who is making a documentary about his downfall. Combs is preparing for a fight for his reputation, his legacy, and in some sense, his life. Now, federal authorities declined to say much after the March raids, but a source confirmed that Rolling Stone that investigators in the Southern District of New York interviewed potential witnesses as part of an SEX trafficking and racketeering probe. Agents may also examine Combs' alleged ties to the infamous Black Mafia family cartel after the Detroit Jane Doe alleged in her suit that the group is rumored to have seeded Bad Boy. No criminal charges have been announced as of this publication. So there's more. Please wait. There's more. Now let's go to this video that he posted, on his social media with TD Jakes talking.
Not hysterical, not frantic, not anxious, not fretful, but steady in the storm. Looks bad, looks tough, but remain steady in the storm.
It's very hard to feel empathy or sympathy for someone like Diddy. After all of these allegations and all the things that he's alleged to have done to people, it's just really hard to have any ounce of empathy and sympathy for him. And clearly, he never showed any for his alleged victims, okay? And so for people caping for him, you just sound ridiculous. And at the end of the day, I think that they probably are people who are very similar to him in their behaviors. That's just my opinion. Now, SEX trafficking is certainly a potential component of a pattern of racketeering, or it could be charged on its own. Former federal prosecutor Elizabeth Geddes, a member of the team that successfully prosecuted R. Kelly in New York, tells Rolling Stone, saying that the indictments of R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, high-profile individuals who long evaded real accountability by law enforcement, offer prosecutors a playbook of a possible prosecution of Sean Combs. Combs is known to sport a gold medallion depicting Lazarus, the biblical figure raised from the dead. And why not? He survived the deadly CCNY tragedy, the shooting that killed his top artist, and his Club New York criminal trial, and he prospered. He named an album No Way Out, but he's always managed to find one. This time may be different, as more accusers and associates emerge with hellish accounts of their time with Combs, as more voices hint that there are darker stories still to be uncovered. He stands exposed in a much harsher light. To some, his claim that his brutal 2016 attack on Cassie represented a rock bottom from which he has since recovered doesn't ring true. One source who knew the former couple says the mogul's rage was always on the verge of creeping out. Rock bottom must be his personality, they say. I've never seen this person. Or I've never not seen this person is what they say. That must be his personality, because they say they've never not seen this person. So they've never seen a good side to Diddy, basically is what they're saying. Now, Misa Hilton, the mother of Combs' first child, Justin, had been silent in the wake of Ventura's lawsuit. But after the video broke, she responded by saying, I know exactly how she feels. And through my empathy, it has triggered my own trauma. Hilton also declined to comment in this article. A lot of people don't want to comment. Please pay attention. Now, it's a long overdue reckoning, says Anna, whose encounter with Combs at the Peninsula Hotel still haunts her. People have been sitting with their experiences for years because you don't know what to do with it. Gardner's friend wrote in her recent affidavit that she wishes she had spoken up then, raised hell earlier. She watched her friend grapple with the aftermath, saying this experience completely changed Liza as a person. Just ruining people's lives. It's just really sad. Dickerson Neal, too, says that she was forever changed by a single night. One date with Sean Combs led to the trauma and pain of sexual assault and an ocean's depth of shame, she said. This is what she told Rolling Stone. Learning that Combs allegedly distributed an explicit video of her was devastating, and she suffered debilitating self-doubt and a lifetime of inner turmoil. Those who were watching decades ago have long suspected Combs' legacy would end in disgrace. None of this was really a surprise for me, says one of the Howard alums who had knowledge of Combs' attack on a classmate. You're already an abuser in college. You were already feeling you had to have certain power over people. Another says that Combs must now face accountability. It's time. In an Instagram post in late May, Ventura expressed gratitude for all the love and support that she received. With a lot of hard work, I'm better today, she wrote. But she added, echoing the experience of many of Combs' abusers and accusers, many of Combs' accusers. I will always be recovering from my past. Woo, honey, that was a lot. They did a very thorough investigation into him. And it's just really sad. It is just absolutely sad at the end of the day. What do you all think about all of this? Wow, this is crazy, right? This is absolutely crazy. Queen Amoni, that Crazy Beach Area says he sounds like he got multiple personalities. Okay. Is there a troll in here, beloveds? Snagglepuss. Is Snagglepuss trolling moderators? If they are, you know what to do. Okay, Pamela said swallowed. Okay, absolutely. And so with that all being said, here's the thing. I've told you all before, I said, some of his people have not really, so-called friends have not really come out and spoken either for him or against him. They've just been silent. Okay, and so the question is, will his famous friends eventually, speak out? Will they eventually say something? People like J-Lo, Lil Kim, Justin Bieber, Fat Joe. Why aren't Diddy's famous friends speaking up? Why aren't they having anything to say? So since November of 2023, he's faced 5 civil lawsuits alleging rape, sex trafficking, physical abuse, and soliciting and distributing narcotics. To somehow make matters worse, TMZ reported that subpoenas are starting to be issued to Combs' businesses. And so, they go on to talk about all these lawsuits and everything, and they just say that Joe only offered prayers to Combs instead of discussing the nature of the allegations against him and their possible validity. Other incredibly quiet celebs who've had close relationships with Combs, like Justin Bieber, Lil Kim, Mariah Carey, Usher, Rick Ross, and DJ Khaled, they've not said anything. You've not heard from them. They've been completely silent. And in my opinion, silence is complicity. Okay, at the end of the day, silence means you're complicit. Okay, that's what that says to me. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, so with that all being said, let's talk about his son Christian for a minute before I roll out of here. Everyone, please get the likes up, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Because I fear that Christian is absolutely standing in his father's nefarious shadow. I'm going to go back to a few points in the lawsuit filed by Grace O'Mercaig against him. Okay, here we go. Now, let's just talk about this for a minute because, like I said, this seems to show that Christian has the same hallmark behavior as his father. Okay, now remember, she was on the yacht with Diddy and several other people, including his son, who came with what she believes was already spiked alcoholic beverages. Okay, the plaintiff says this is not an offer. Hold on, let me go up a little bit. Okay, so plaintiff says this is not an offer, to which Christian Combs says, you said what? She says, I can't. I'm swapping out. I can't do it. I'm sorry, darling. Nah, we need you. She says, I'm going to stop. Stop. I have to go. I have to go. Honestly, I'm like already losing sleep. I have to go now. Then King Combs says, you're the best on the ship. You're the best one on the ship, though. She says, what do you mean? He says, who's going to replace you? Who's going to replace me? She asked. F that, he says. That's going to be trash, though. You feel me? Excuse me, she says. You don't touch my legs like that. I'll move my legs where I want to. So already in the habit, allegedly, of touching people without their consent, just like his father was doing even back in college. Okay? F that. So then she says, you don't touch my legs. You don't touch my legs like that. Listen. King Combs says, listen, you and everybody in the crew, it's great. She says, I can't. I have to go down. I have to go down. No. Yo, tell me. Listen. Now, he says, like, say you're just vibing with me the whole time. She says, I can't imagine you. I wish I could, but I can't unless I say, hold on. She says, I can't unless I say that you guys need me. And so then he goes on to say, basically trying to get her to drink all of these drinks. Now, there's a picture that I'm going to show you guys in just a minute that really didn't age well as far as I'm concerned, okay, of King Combs. She asked him, or he says, I ain't going to lie. I'm not taking nothing. Please take the shot. Now, this is when he's trying to ply her with alcohol, trying to coerce her into taking a shot that she doesn't want to take. Okay, she's already taken one or two and she doesn't want to take any more. And he's telling her, please take the shot. Okay, she says, you are drugging me? She asked. He says, take the shot. Hey, yo, play another beat one time because now, and then so they have this whole transcript of the recording of what she was allegedly saying. Okay, and so then we already know that she says he was grabbing on her, tried to hold her in this room, and only because someone came was she able to escape. Okay, so with that all being said, let's not forget how she talked about the part about his mother. Let me go to that page real quick. The part about Diddy's mother. Diddy is a very sick individual. So, according to plaintiff, on another occasion while Hulu was filming, defendants S. Combs and his friends, including Young Miami, were playing a game called Carisha Please. Defendant S. Combs was dared to expose himself at the point defendant S. Combs stood up, pulled down his pants, and exposed his cucumber. Plaintiff was standing beside the table and heard the commotion. Defendant Combs' mother was sitting right beside him. Okay? Sitting right beside him. This is also sick. I just want you all to pay attention. What mother sits there when this is going on and doesn't object, doesn't say anything? And what son does this in front of his own mother? This is all so crazy. Okay? This is all so crazy. It clearly speaks to the depravity of Diddy and his mother as well, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we already saw how he was kissing his mother in the mouth, which is clearly inappropriate as far as I'm concerned for a grown man to be doing. Michael X says he put stuff in the liquor. Yes, absolutely. This is what was alleged. Okay? Dorada says Diddy should be ashamed of himself grooming his son. Absolutely. Okay? Does anybody think P. Diddy has relations with his mother? I wouldn't be surprised, beloved. I don't know if he does, but I would not be surprised because the way he kissed her on the mouth and then her sitting there while he exposed his privates, and then pay attention on the video where he kissed his mother. Remember how she was bragging that she can touch her, or he was bragging that his mother can touch her palms to the floor. Okay, she can touch her toes. And then she chimed in adding that, yeah, palms down. How would he know that? Has his mother been to the freak offs with him? I just have questions. This is all just sick, including nefarious as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, definitely I think he's trained his son, influenced his son, probably, all of his sons, but specifically Christian, to be just like him. Look at this video.
The countdown has begun. Yeah. It's my twin's birthday at midnight. Hey, yo, Miami, meet us at Vendome. It's up. We're going up. We're going live. Happy birthday, boy.
Won't stop, told y'all.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
See y'all there.
I find it also interesting. Now look at this picture. This did not age well because in this picture, King Combs is doing, in my opinion, what he was accused of doing on the yacht to Grace Omar Cake. Plying a young woman with alcohol. Okay? Absolutely. Plying a young woman with alcohol. So, this is just really sad, But again, This is the dark side of Diddy. Real bad boy for life. Okay, he picked the perfect and appropriate name for his record label. Bad boy for life. They gave him the correct and appropriate nickname as a child. Puffy, because he would huff and he would puff, just like the big bad wolf, intimidating and threatening the three little pigs. Okay, this is what he's always done. This is not what the industry turned him into, which is what I initially was thinking. But no, he's always been this way. He was acting this way in college. He was very vicious and angry as even a child in school. Okay, I just want you all to pay attention. Okay, Leon said you can't be ashamed when you don't have any. Exactly. You cannot be ashamed when you don't have any shame. And you know what? It reminds me of the song by the group Lost Boys, okay, with Freaky Ty. Do you all remember that song by Lost Boys? Back in the 90s, that song, Lifestyles of the Rich and Shameless. Some die with a name and some die nameless. That's Diddy. The song was about Diddy, little did anyone know, okay? That's Diddy. Lifestyles of the rich and shameless. He has no shame because he has no moral fortitude. He has no shame because he is just a devil and he's clearly nefarious, okay? He feels like he's entitled to do and say whatever he wants to whomever he chooses, and that no one dare not speak against him or say no when he asks them to do or requests them to do anything, okay? This is all so crazy. This is all so crazy. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. Listen, this is just all crazy at the end of the day. Okay? All crazy. So, the DOJ interviewing his accusers, feds moving to possibly indict him. 300 people were reached out to get information about him during this Rolling Stone investigation. 50 of them came forward with all of these serious accusations and allegations. People talked about how he's been wicked even since he was a teenager in college, how he's done whatever he could to get to where he wanted to be, no matter the detriment that he brought upon others, killing people's dreams, stealing their livelihoods, threatening them with, blacklisting, having been blacklisted, threatening people's lives and property and all of these things. Telling people that he would kill them and all of this stuff. I just find it all very interesting. I find it all very interesting at the end of the day. So, one more thing I want to pick up on. Hold on, beloveds. Because remember, he threatened Shakur Stewart. He threatened to kill this man. And this man is dead. Did he kill him? I don't know. But I think he did. Now, it was reported as something that he did himself. Okay, it was reported that he took himself out. Def Jam exec Shakur Stewart commits, the word. I already used it once, didn't really mean to, but said that he took himself out. Shakur Stewart, executive vice president of Def Jam and one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop, died this week in an apparent self-deletion. Police reported that the man who signed Beyonce was found in his bathroom at around 4 p.m. on a Saturday, suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was taken to Atlanta's Keystone Hospital, where he was pronounced dead later that day. Though further details have not been released, Def Jam confirmed Stewart's death in a statement. Basically, Def Jam chairman L.A. Reid and all of us said that all of us at Island Def Jam Music Group are deeply saddened by the passing of our dear friend and colleague, Shakur Stewart. Shakur was an amazing man in every sense of the word, a truly incredible friend and father who was an inspiration not only to our artists and employees, but to his family and many people that had the privilege of counting him as a friend. Our hearts and prayers go out to his family at this very difficult time. Stewart had only recently taken over the label, succeeding Jay-Z after the rapper's departure in June. Stewart at the time called it his dream job. The Oakland, California native began his career in a more humble way, passing out concert flyers at 7 clubs a night, 7 days a week in 20-degree weather, as he told Billboard. Now, he later worked for LaFace Records and Hitco Music Publishing before joining Def Jam. The artists he was responsible for signing included Sierra, Rick Ross, Young Jeezy, Beyonce Knowles, and Karina Pazia. In interviews after his summer hiring, Stewart spoke of the need for music executives to file 27-hour days, saying that I see a lot of kids who want to live the lifestyle but don't want to put in the work to do what it takes. Shakur was 34 years old. Very sad. I absolutely think Diddy had something to do with this successful young man losing his life because he was dating Kim Porter. I think Diddy had this man taken out. I don't think he did this to himself. The Black-owned folks said, I believe Curtis Lighty was murdered also. Very likely so, beloved. So this is all sad. Okay, this is all very sad at the end of the day. And he threatened to take this man's life and for this man to turn up deceased shortly thereafter. Because I do believe that it was in 2007 when they had this issue. And then the man's dead in 2008. Wow. So anyway, with that all been said, everyone please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. There's 570 people in the chat. Please, on your way out, could you please just like the video? It doesn't cost you a thing. Okay, if you sat here for this 2+ hours, okay, this video is 2.5 hours. I didn't even realize it was that long. But if you sat here for 2.5 hours, clearly you like what you were hearing. So please be sure to hit the like button. Okay, I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Also, please check later for uploads on this channel, as well as a live on the backup channel. Until next time, beloveds, I love you all to life. Okay? And I will talk to you all again soon. Now, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, and never destructive. But always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, beloveds. And also, listen, don't forget that the links to any broadcast that I'm doing, you can find them in my YouTube community tab, as well as on my Twitter. Okay? With that all being said, I'll talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Hey, yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor. Soul all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got